Find a dragon talisman. Do we swap into shape-shifting late game and go for the dragon kobold? Instead of following a dragon, again, as kobolds are often wont to do, we shall instead become the dragon. I mean, it's not horrible. Do get a couple large rocks thrown our way, and again, the trauma from our semi-recent runs is already starting to reach uncomfortable levels, but no, we'll be fine. Just have to believe, and everything will be okay. Fantastic. I will take you kiddos once again on just a little bit of a hike here. And fantastic. I guess you don't really care too much about my kill corridors, friend. You're going to keep digging your way forward regardless. But we can mitigate that to some capacity using the trees here. And not too shabby. Should definitely have been throwing boomerangs while we have the cold cloud to kind of cover our retreat. But that is fine by me. Okie dokie. Nope, bad Tengu. Let's try that again, going into our lovely little diagonal here, and that is much, much better. Holy moly. Did we get the S runes already? We did, yeah. Just the very end of last week, we were able to honestly largely sneak our way through both Spider and Shoals, and things went surprisingly well. So that was some of the magic that we were hoping to, at least in some capacity, repeat today, with the full acknowledgement that, again, this is where things generally get a bit tricky for your stabber characters, and I don't know how much longer we can necessarily afford to continue in that trajectory, at least any kind of relying on our stealth. Still getting the occasional backstab on groups of enemies. Feels as good as ever, of course. But okay, we're going to take advantage of the slow move speed of our troll friends here, and that does allow us just enough wiggle room to get out. Okay, and just a Tengu warrior is fine. Want to keep my eyes open. The moment we see a Reaver, we need to at least start thinking about our actions, because that's when things can get a little bit tricky and we can be facing off against much more unavoidable damage, or undodgeable damage I should say, than we might otherwise be willing to impart upon ourselves. But there we go, not too shabby, and I'm more than happy to face off against a similar build. I feel like any dex-based stabber, please come at me. No problems really whatsoever. I am going to come right back here, and we're going to take advantage of the deep water with these sons of guns. I think the Iron Troll might have been fine to just cross the depths. I think they're a large enough enemy, but hey, if they want to take it easy, don't mind that whatsoever. Ooh, and we get Condemnation here. Interesting. Do we hard pivot into tridents at this late stage in the run? Holy, the anguish thing, that reduces like the strength level of enemies, does it? Makes the victim's attacks reflect back on them. Okay. Get a bit of, not even really Thorns action, because ideally we aren't taking any damage, and instead it's just mirroring all of it. There's some temptation, for sure. Exactly. Safe. That's my thought. What a fun weapon. But unfortunately not really that viable. Not that that has ever really stopped us before. At a certain stage of life, you become more preoccupied with enjoyment than necessarily a constant min-maxing. Though, of course, that generally comes with the privilege of being able to stay alive, which this character may or may not continue to have over the next few minutes here. So maybe I can take that to heart as well. And otherwise, not too shabby really whatsoever here. Okay, From sneaky to noisy, exactly. A complete 180 for a good old Scrock here. Churchill is aptly named. If you look, or if I took that, I'd be condemned. Fair enough. Again, I like to at least entertain the thoughts, but I think you may be on the right track with that one for sure. Holy. Still getting those occasional backstabs, especially against enemies like that, where we haven't really tested our mettle too much against Abyss ranged enemies. I mean, we almost should allow some of them to wake up to give us, I don't know, a preview for what to expect. And I always forget what exactly Fragile does, but it seems just off the rip that you don't want to be fragile and sitting next to a two-headed end. Feels like a bad combination of effects if I had to put my money on it. Also not great to miss our 69% chance multiple times in a row, but hey, it is what it is. And at the very least, looking like we'll get some freedom at the end of it all. Okay, I don't think that dragon can really do much. They don't have smite targeted abilities, so that's a strange enemy type to see in that ziggurat entrance. I feel like generally you're going to find yourselves with like a bunch of angels, maybe a bunch of eyes that are going to summon friends. I just realized I want to be a bit cautious here. Specifically, the Tengu can jump behind me, and so in that configuration we had down here, Stone Giant right behind, I think we were on track to potentially having some combined issues or combined fire that overtakes my acceptable danger ranges, as it were. Let's immediately just put you out like a light switch, and then start to preempt some of our enemies being sneaky about things here. That's a lot of Edens, my friend. I mean, I was hoping, and it seems to bear out slightly better now that we taken less direct hits from those sons of guns. What? I believe in you. Come on, Steel Barbs, you can do it. Beautiful. Steel Barbs against Lich. The results may surprise you. Okie dokie, love to see that. No real complaints. Maybe a little bit closer to danger than I would otherwise like, but still managed to get through it in one piece, even despite the array of pretty tough enemies before us. And this is, again, just the start. We're kind of viewing all of this as a trial run for what may or may not befall us if we decide to go the way of the Abyss in the future. And undodgeable fire. Never exactly my cup of tea, but there we go. We at least fight off enough of our enemies to earn a slight reprieve. Unseen Horror just wandering around the level. That's fine. That's the type of surprising enemy when on the retreat that you don't mind quite as much. Fortunately, they're a little out of depth and not in the way that people are usually complaining about when it comes to DCSS. The good kind of out of depth, if there is such a thing. And hopefully this means we're getting close to defeating the group of enemies here. It's definitely been a long drawn-out process. They all seem to have stemmed from this same general vicinity. Oof. What to do with you? Well, we can at least get our hasted Hell Knight buddy to lead the charge. As it were, 38 health, 45 damage. Again, this is where most of my brain is telling me, risk it, you'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong? But there's that little voice in the back of my head that's trying its darndest to keep me in one piece. That would definitely correspond to the part of my brain that was correct, objectively. So, what do we wish to do? If I blink, just blink out, still potentially have a large rock aimed directly at our skull. So the one true answer, of course, was don't get yourself into this situation, Torinski. We know better. But is there anything to really do here? I can take a peek at the fear scroll. 64%. Not as good as I would like, but maybe our best bet. We do have the Amulet of the Acrobat, so we at least get much better at our chances of dodging when we start to walk away. 47% chance to hit me. Because now I'm thinking, if I do blink, can I just dodge the rock? Unfortunately, after using the blink, we won't immediately get the acrobat effect. We will if we just take a step, but then we're entering a whole new realm of risk assessment. Yeah, you know, I'm tempted to do the fear. 64% versus the blink. They won't even necessarily throw a rock. They might take a step towards us as their first move. Well, no time like the present. Oh, and they did neither? So maybe we're going to be okay after all. Made sure to say the sentence slow enough that any surprises from the other direction wouldn't be too much of a shock. But let's see, with the acrobat, 22% chance to hit me. I think I just have to go for it. Hope we don't get a rock on our way up. Oh me oh my. Again, though, those are the near-death experiences that hopefully teach us a little bit of a lesson about life and the fragility of it all. And maybe the next stone giant we come across, I'm a little more reticent to just face tank than the entire time. Part of the time. I think that's just par for the course, but some amount of concern definitely warranted. And I'm burning through these ice blasts at a slightly higher rate than I would otherwise like. There we go. If I can hit multiple Spriggans with it, then I'm not complaining nearly as much. Much more efficient use of it at the very least. And with you, my friend, I think we can soften you up with boomerangs. Oh no. Find ourselves in a repeat once again here. Now this time around I probably should take preemptive measures, but instead I'm gonna make all the same mistakes, this time just getting lucky, and it's not a problem. So fantastic. Never didn't have it, of course. Oh me oh my. You know, I started making claims when last we found ourselves in pretty much this exact setup that we must be getting to the end of the enemies in this little zone. Apparently, not the case in the slightest, and they're just gonna keep on coming and they don't stop coming until the end of time itself, until the heat death of the universe, when entropy finally has won the ultimate war. But maybe, just maybe, there's a chance for some hope before that point. And we can, maybe, just maybe, get some of these sons of guns off our back. I'm hoping for some slightly more advantageous treasure here, if I'm being honest. So far, nothing really to write home about. I mean, invisibility potion could be nice. Ooh. And a rapier of holy wrath. I am gonna actually pick that up as well. We do wish to go to Crypt. That becomes a pretty solid option for us. And this is the other of our two unidentified scrolls, so this would be either Torment or Vulnerability if I'm remembering correctly. I should probably just run up to that ID scroll we left on the floor earlier, and then I can decide which of these, if either, I even want to be lugging around in a knapsack. I guess a Ring of Intelligence. I didn't even realize we picked up at some point. Can almost definitely be dropped for the time being, and let's just finish off the last little bit of our area here, shall we? In fact, that pretty much finishes off depths too, so how about that? Okay, not our best showing here on the second floor of depths, but still not necessarily the end of the world by any means. And if we can potentially just get a few more of those skewering enemies like a Kobold. Oh my gosh, even a Juggernaut goes down in one hit. You do love to see that. And our first gold dragon, also down in one hit. Now, is it at all worth it to potentially swap into armor that heavy? I mean, with 10 strength, I cannot imagine. Gold dragon scales are really within our purview for the run. Ooh, and definitely start to run away. I'm glad that you're the one that got mighted and hasted. I mean, it is like a horror movie as you chase us down the corridor. I'm dodging around corners just for those said corners to immediately disappear. Oh. And I did not expect you to show your face. Another Juggernaut, just what we were hoping to see here today. Hooray. Yikes, yikes, yikes. No joys. Specific store. Definitely sparking no joy for me there, my friend. 3 gold for 2 stones. I mean, not only is it not a very useful commodity in the first place, but that is an outrageous price, my friend. I mean, to each their own. I'm not going to tell you how to run your business by any means. Far be it for me to instill any of my knowledge or lack thereof upon your practices. And is even a single vampire knight against my capabilities? Almost, turns out. Much to my surprise. So we'll head to our stairwell and let's rest, recuperate, rethink, maybe? Do we wish to change gears now? We could head to Crypt sooner rather than later. Could at least try to max out. I don't know if we'll get all the way to level 27. I seriously doubt it, but a few more levels wouldn't hurt by any means. Especially since our next level up here, we at least get some stats, I believe. So, in the essence of potentially heading down to Crypt, we will, as promised, go all the way back up to this store that we found earlier. And I think we will buy this ring, blind positive energy, all that good stuff, of course. And what should that replace in our inventory? Do I officially say goodbye to the short sword that has served us so well up until now? I think we just may. Pick up this ring. I might not need the willpower. There's probably some paralysis in there. Paralysis demons and the like. Can I afford to maybe go down some armor? Feels a little shaky, to say the least, but that would allow us to swap into this ring, bringing our negative resistance up to lovely, lovely levels, and potentially setting ourselves up for success in Crypt. Of course, the main issue with Crypt is how quiet it is, so while we're sneaking around, beautiful, lovely, not a care in the world. As soon as the tides turn against us, it's gonna be very hard to sneak up on anything past that point. Oh, especially with some skulls that are gonna be making an ungodly amount of noise. But hey, the damage we're taking, very, very little to none. So that is wonderful. And the Holy Brand definitely showing why it's the cream of the crop when it comes to killing undead, which I know, shocker. Holy Branded weapon, absolutely demolishing undead. You never would have guessed it, but here we are. And let's see, I probably want to kill the Skeletal Warrior. The Jiangxis actually didn't seem too bad in our initial encounter. This son of a gun, on the other hand, won't care too much about the holy branded rapier we have, and so they become the potential problem child of the bunch. So I think what I'm going to do is play this a bit on the safe side. We'll bring you all the way up yonder, switch over to the speed, and let's take you upstairs. So at the very least, if we have to retreat, we're not completely left off to our own devices, I guess. I'm also going to just do some quick changes here so that we can hot swap between our two rapiers. And let's see how it all goes down as we continue back through Crypt, shall we? Not too shabby here. These Jiangxi are now probably scattered throughout the entirety of the level, which is always interesting. And once again, enemies that don't care too much about our wonderful source of damage to the undead. Oh me oh my. Well, fortunately, Orc Knight, you're a little out of your depth here, so I'm going to immediately stop you in your tracks with the Paralyze. I may be able to mulch through these buddies fast enough for that to be my way out of here. In fact, looks to be just about perfect in that regard.